Alright guys, so here we have now the helmet painted black. By the way, I'm using Duplicolor's Universal Black. I really do like the way this turned out. It has a nice sheen to it. It's not glossy though, and it went on really evenly. So this is the blast shield here, and it has a silver panel painted. And I also need to paint this panel silver as well. The other thing we need to do before we start painting though is to cut out this area here. This is for this grill piece here, so I have to do that. What I plan to do is actually cut it and then do some painting, the detail painting, and then glue that into place. The detail painting involves, of course, these red and white stripes. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of reference photos available because the film is still out. So I'm also going to use this helmet here from the toy. And this is Poe's action figure, and it looks like it's been painted fairly accurately, so we'll use this as a guide as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed and cut this out, and then we'll move on with the painting. Just to show you how I'm doing this here now, I just drilled holes around the perimeter of the area we're cutting out here, and then I'm using this cutting tool just to go along all the drilled holes, and I'll cut out the section. Okay, you can see the pieces in place here. Alright, so next step is to paint this as well as some other pieces silver, and then start masking the helmet off for the red and white trim. Okay, so after painting the red, I left a lot of the masking tape on and moved forward to mask off the white stripes now, at least the areas for the white stripes. And you can see here the blast shield has been masked off as well. Okay guys, here we now have the helmet put together. You can see the blast shield has been installed. Everything is painted here now. So I'll talk about the installation of this in a second. The stripes came out pretty nice, I think. You know, again, using an airbrush, your lines will come out sharp. You just have to be patient because you do have to apply numerous coats before you get to the right darkness and consistency. But yeah, everything turned out pretty well. Now, let's talk about the blast shield. If you follow the instructions given by Chris at Golden Armory, he will suggest using these rivets. This is essentially a pop rivet, and let me just show you the instrument that you need for that. So if you're not familiar with pop rivets, you need a tool like this. This is something I got at Harbor Freight. This was under $6. You can go as high as $30 for a pop riveter, but I was confident this was going to suffice for our needs here. The pop rivet tool, all of them come with these extra pieces here. They basically accommodate different widths and sizes of these pop rivets, which is what it looks like before you apply them. Now the problem here is that the width of the depth that you need to get the pop rivet through is not was definitely wider than what these pop rivets can accommodate for. So it worked fine on this one because it actually connected this blast shield with this top section. However, when I tried to do it here, the way this top section is glued into place, it would not do that, and it temporarily connected it, but then it popped right off. So the terrible part is I had to work at getting that pop rivet off, and I replaced it with a screw, and I'm just gonna leave it this way because I'm not gonna go through the trouble of popping this off. This would completely detach this section. So it's gonna be a little uneven here, but it functions. And there's gonna be some other detailing here we're gonna add, so hopefully it won't be too noticeable. My advice, don't mess with the pop rivet. You know, you're gonna have to try to find some pop rivets that are gonna be larger than this, and honestly, I just don't think it's worth the trouble. I just ended up using a screw I had on hand here. It's not that deep of a screw. I use the washer on one side and a nut on the other, and it works perfectly. So like I said, would just do away with the pop rivet there. I really wouldn't mess with that. Alright, let me take a minute just to review the other parts that come with the helmet. Now, all of these have been painted already, so they do come in white plastic or resin. So what we have here, going from left to right, this piece is going to go over the left side of the cheek, and on top of that, it's going to be the microphone. So the microphone is made up of this, and this rod along with this wire. We have two buttons here. This is going to go basically in this area, one for each side, as well as this piece here goes in front of that. These two buttons here go right into the indentation here. And then we've got a resistor that goes on the back side of the helmet. Again, we're going to utilize some of the wire for that. And then on the right side of the helmet, we're going to have these three pieces. This will go on the right cheek there. Alright, so I'm going to start assembling these. I'll show you how they come together. Let's just work on the microphone first. So there are two holes that you need to drill, and one is for this brass bar here that's going to connect to here, and then the other here is for this wire piece that has to slide inside here and connect to this piece. So let me put it together, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, and here we now have the completed microphone using Chris's YouTube video as a guide. I've put it together in the same way. And looking at a shot from the movie, you can see it's positioned here. Now you notice along the edge there's a black stripe. What I decided to do for that is just to use some pinstriping and add that in here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next piece. Okay, this is the resistor, and first thing I did was just to line these detail areas here with pinstriping. And then I drilled a hole on the bottom and the top because you're going to insert these wires now. And the resistor is going to mount right here, so this wire is going to insert into this bump here, and there's going to be another hole down here at the bottom. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and attach that. And there you go, there's a resistor now hanging in place. Okay, the next detailing is this piece right here, and it comes in 3 pieces as you see here, and we just got to put them together and put them into place right here. And that's what it looks like here. So the next 2 pieces are these here, and I had to do a little bit of searching here to figure out where these actually go. They actually go right here on the edge of the helmet here, and you'll notice there's this piece here, this button, and it sits right next to this piece here. You can see it's actually been cut to fit the contour of the button, so that's what we've done here. Is I've actually used that grinding tool to cut it into the same contour as the button. So this is then going to install right about here. So let's go ahead and put that into place. So I should point out here that these pieces are a little awkward to put into place. These black pieces now are hard plastics, there's no give, and this area has a lot of contour to it, so you have to make sure that you find the areas of most contact, and those are the areas that you're going to apply the glue to, and then you'll have to hold it into place as it sets. And here you see the other side. Okay, what I'm doing now is applying the decals, and these are pretty easy to apply, and I'm pretty much following the tutorial that Chris put online with his Golden Armor video. So essentially these are vinyl decals, and you peel them off the paper they come on. And before applying them, you're using a soapy solution. I just mixed a little dishwashing liquid with some water, sprayed it on, and that gives you the ability to slide the decal around before it settles in. So it's pretty easy, you just peel them off, put them into place just like you see here. Nothing too special. Alright, just to show you, the decals now are pretty much completed. I have a couple more, but I wanted to show you these here. These letters here do come separate, so you have to kind of make sure that you're following the contour of the curve here. The other ones are pretty straightforward, as I said, to put on. And there's another set of lettering right here. One graphic I wanted to show you here before I move on is this laser cut graphic that he includes in the kit. And so you basically take it off of the backing that he gives you. You press hard on it, and then you just peel this away, and you can see what's left is the graphic that we need here. And there you go. Okay guys, the one thing I wanted to show you before we move on to the wash are the inserts now for the padding. So this you can get from Chris as well at Golden Armor, and you can see it looks pretty deluxe here. This is going to fit in to the inner side of the helmet here along the inside. And then we also have these earmuffs to install. And what I'm going to do is cut a section out of here so they're flat and they can fit flush into these sections here. Alright, so this is what the inside of the helmet looks like. You can see the earmuffs are in place as well as the padding. I decided to put just a little extra padding here so we could have a bit more cushion, make the fit a little tighter. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here is I am taking a watered down black paint here and just applying it all over the helmet just to dirty it up, make it look worn. So this is the first step in the weathering process, and just kind of dabbing it, brushing paint on, and then dabbing it with a towel like this and letting it dry. Okay, this is the way the helmet's looking so far. The paint's been used to dirty it up a bit. It looks a little darker in person than it does here on the video, but I'm going to go ahead and darken up just a little bit further now with some pastels. So the next step is to add more scratches. Now I experimented a little bit with a silver paint pen, and I still may do a little bit more of that, but before I do that I'm going to try this technique that Chris has used at Golden Armor. And it's basically to take a stick like this. This is a shish kebab stick, has a pointed end. We're going to take some light gray paint and just basically try to duplicate some of the scratches that we see here on the surface of the helmet. So I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but this is the way I'm gluing the face shield in, just one section at a time. And by the way, when you're working with hot glue, I'm not sure if you know this trick, but you can use compressed air. If you turn the can upside down, it sprays out a very cold mist, and that will cool down the glue fairly quickly. So I'll show you here the final helmet in just a second. I meant to show you some of the techniques I was using to weather it, but it was very difficult to try to film that and do it accurately, so I'll just summarize it here very shortly. So I'll show you the completed helmet in just a second. Okay guys, and here we now have the finished helmet. This of course is a replica of the helmet seen on Star Wars Force Awakens and worn by a character named Poe Dameron as he flies his X-Wing. This kit is produced by goldenarmor.com. So as you look at the helmet here, you can see there are both similarities and differences from the helmets that we saw in the original trilogy. One of the main differences, of course, is this blast shield that covers the forehead. There's a microphone that floats out here. There's no chin strap. But you can see, of course, the markings of the rebellion and the striping patterns and so forth. One of the things I wanted to apologize for again is the fact that I didn't show you any footage here of how I created these scratch patterns. It was just a little bit too difficult to try to film that and do it accurately, as I said. But I'm going to refer you over to the video that Chris at Golden Armor has on his YouTube channel. He actually does a little bit better job than I do, and I think I did overdo it here a bit on the scratches, but you know, overall I'm still satisfied with the way the helmet turned out. This was the first time I had tried this technique. Again, it involves using a stick, and in my case I used a shish kebab stick, dipped it in light gray paint, and you just quickly pass over the surface with it, creating a scratch pattern. And I did that all along here as well as here, and you can see there are more scratches here. I just tried to follow the pictures. Again, I kind of overdid it a bit here because the helmet that he wears on screen doesn't quite have as many scratches. But you know, just the goal is to make it look worn and scratched. Along with that, I applied some dry brushing. So I just took a brush and dipped it into Tester's steel and dried off the brush as much as I could, and then just kind of dabbed it along the surface here, creating these worn areas. And you can see I applied the same technique here. The wash was very effective at making the helmet look dirty and grimy. Also, the application of pastels to create more grime here was very effective. And then the other thing I did was to use a paint pen, and that allowed me to apply a bit more of this worn look here on each of these pieces here, as well as on the opposite side. I will say for the most part the helmet pieces together really well. Obviously you do have to do a lot of cutting and shaping and so forth. The one piece that does stand out that didn't quite fit in is this one here. The other side's a bit better, but you do see there's a major gap here, and I'm going to have to probably squeeze in some putty and fill that in. But really that is the exception. Everything else fit together pretty well. The other thing to point out here is you don't obviously have to paint it in this paint scheme. There are a number of different helmets that you see on screen. I just like this particular one, so I chose to replicate Poe Dameron's design. Alright, so I think it's time to go ahead and rate this kit. So I'm giving this kit a pretty high rating. For accuracy, I'm giving it a 4. I think it does make a pretty good, high-quality replica of the helmet you see on screen. I think I'll be pretty happy with it. Ease of assembly, well, you need to go into these kinds of kits with the understanding that there will be some work involved, but you know, that's what makes it particularly fun for me. With the right tools, as you saw here, it's a pretty straightforward build. Regarding likability, I really enjoyed this kit, and I think you will too. In terms of cost, I'm not going to quote any costs here. I'll just ask you to contact goldenarmor.com. I can tell you though that any of these customized kits, it's just normal to expect they're going to be of higher cost. But I think in this case, you will be happy with the quality of workmanship and the decals and the parts, just as I was. Well, that does it for now. As you can see, making prop replicas like this is just another fun way for you to use your model building skills. It's a challenge for yourself to create realistic looking pieces, and I think you'll find that people are often very impressed when you can show them something so different in your collection. A quick shout out to Chris at Golden Armor, who is very responsive and helpful with my questions. I invite you to check out his website. He offers a lot of unique kits. Oh, and just one other quick note, the helmet does not come with a stand. This is just something I already had in my collection. As always, if you have any questions about this build, feel free to contact me here at my YouTube channel or at interstellarmodeler@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it.